Captain Kyung-min stood on the bridge of the Seoul space station and stared at his computer screen. The message from the alien fleet made his blood run cold. 300 massive ships blocked out the sun above Earth. Each ship was bigger than any human city, and they all pointed their weapons at his home planet. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council, and they had come to Earth with a simple message. Commander Bo-Ra ran into the control room with sweat on her face. She had been studying the alien ships for the past 6 hours, and the results terrified her. Each alien vessel carried enough weapons to destroy entire continents. The human military looked like children playing with toy guns compared to these massive war machines. She handed Kyung-min a datapad that showed the terrible truth. The alien fleet commander sent another message to Earth, and this time every human on the planet could hear it. The voice was cold and mechanical, like a computer that had learned to. Hate Admiral Velthara of the Galactic Council spoke to humanity as if they were insects that needed to be stepped on. She told Earth that they had 36 hours to make their choice. Humanity could surrender completely and become slaves to the Council, or they could fight and watch their world burn to ashes. There would be no negotiation and no mercy. The Council had conquered over 10,000 planets, and Earth would be just another number on their list of victories. The alien admiral made it clear that resistance was pointless and death was the only alternative to slavery, deep underground in a secret bunker beneath Seoul. The leaders of Earth gathered for an emergency meeting. President Jun-ho of the Asian Federation looked around the room at faces filled with fear and desperation. Prime ministers and generals from every nation sat at the long table, while screens showed the alien fleet hovering above their heads. The translations of the council demands appeared in dozens of languages, but the message was always the same. The aliens wanted Earth resources, including all the metals and energy sources on the planet. They wanted human workers to mine asteroids and build their ships in distant star systems. They wanted complete control over human civilization, with the right to decide who lived and who died. Any human who showed the slightest sign of rebellion would be eliminated immediately, along with their entire family. Dr. Yunji, the world's leading expert on advanced weapons, technology stood up with trembling hands. She had spent 20 years working on theoretical weapons that were too dangerous to actually build. The government had classified her research so deeply that even most generals did not know it existed. But now, with alien ships preparing to destroy Earth, her impossible weapons might be humanity's only hope. Project Hellfire contained blueprints for weapons that could tear holes in space itself. The files showed designs for missiles that traveled faster than light and defensive systems that could turn entire fleets into cosmic dust. Dr. Yoon-ji had created these weapons in computer simulations, but never believed anyone would be crazy enough to actually build them. The alien ultimatum had changed everything. President Jun-ho made the decision that would change human history forever. Instead of surrendering like frightened animals, humanity would show these alien invaders what happened when someone threatened Earth. He gave the order to begin immediate construction of every weapon in Project Hellfire factories across the globe, would work day and night to build humanity's response to the Council ultimatum. The president sent messages to every leader on Earth telling them about the secret weapons project. Within hours, manufacturing plants in America, Russia, China, and Europe began retooling their production lines to build quantum torpedoes and plasma cannons. Scientists who had spent years studying theoretical physics suddenly found themselves building devices that could destroy planets. Major Sung-ho received orders to begin testing the first batch of experimental weapons at a secret facility in the mountains. The testing results shocked everyone involved. One human quantum torpedo contained enough destructive power to vaporize an alien battleship. The weapons that Dr. Eun-ji had designed in her laboratory were far more deadly than anyone had imagined possible. Colonel Hye-jin supervised the installation. of planetary defense cannons that rose from hidden positions all around Earth. Each cannon could fire concentrated beams of pure energy that traveled at the speed of light. The alien fleet had given humanity 36 hours to surrender, but they had accidentally given Earth enough time to transform from helpless victim into dangerous predator. Engineer Wu Jin worked without sleep as he supervised the construction of weapons that seemed like magic just days before plasma cannons emerged from assembly lines while fusion bombs rolled off production belts. Workers who had been building cars and computers yesterday were now assembling devices that could crack moons in half. Dr. Minho made a discovery that changed everything while studying pieces of alien technology that had been recovered from previous encounters with Council scouts. The alien ships used energy shields that could stop conventional weapons, but they had a fatal weakness. The shields were designed to deflect energy, beams, and explosive devices, but they could not handle quantum disruption technology. Human scientists had accidentally created the perfect weapon to destroy Council ships, and the aliens had no idea what was coming. The quantum torpedoes would pass through alien shields like they did not exist. Each torpedo would detonate inside the enemy ship, causing complete destruction from within. The Council fleet was about to discover that Earth was not as helpless as they believed. General Na Young coordinated the global response from her command bunker, deep underground. Every major nation contributed resources to Project Hellfire, creating a united human military force. Unlike anything in history, Russian quantum laboratories worked with American fusion facilities, while Chinese manufacturing plants combined with European research centers. For the first time in human history, all the nations of Earth were working together as one species against a common enemy. The Council ultimatum had accomplished something that centuries of diplomacy had failed to achieve. Humanity was finally united, and they were building weapons that could challenge the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. As the alien deadline approached, Earth was no longer the same planet that had received the Council ultimatum. Quantum weapons armed themselves while planetary defense systems powered up with deadly energy. The aliens expected Earth to kneel and beg for mercy, but humanity had chosen to stand up and fight. Captain Kyung-min looked at his screens one more time and saw that everything was ready. Earth had spent 35 hours preparing for war instead of preparing to surrender. The human response to the alien ultimatum would shock the entire galaxy. Engineer Wu Jin had never seen chaos like what was happening inside the secret weapons facility. Workers ran between massive machines that hummed with dangerous energy. The alien ultimatum had unlocked decades of hidden research, and now humanity was turning science fiction into deadly reality. Assembly lines that had produced cars and electronics just 2 days ago were now manufacturing weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The main production floor stretched for miles underground, with countless workers building devices they barely understood. Plasma cannons emerged from one assembly line, while quantum torpedoes rolled off another production belt like ordinary products. Scientists explained the basics to factory workers who learned to build impossible weapons in just hours. Major Sung-ho watched the first batch of quantum torpedoes complete their testing sequence. These were not the crude nuclear weapons that humanity had built in the past. Each torpedo contained a miniature reactor that could generate enough energy to power entire cities. The testing results showed that one human quantum torpedo could match the firepower of 10 Council plasma cannons. The weapons testing facility was located deep in the mountains where explosions would not be detected by alien sensors. Major Sung-ho watched through reinforced windows as the first quantum torpedo detonated against a target designed to simulate alien ship armor. The explosion created a ball of pure energy that vaporized everything within a mile. Radius Dr. Yun-ji studied the test results with growing excitement. The quantum torpedoes were performing even better than her computer simulations had predicted. Each weapon contained technology that was centuries ahead of anything the Galactic Council possessed. The aliens had superior numbers, but humanity had superior weapons. Colonel Haye-Jin supervised the installation of Earth planetary defense grid from her command center. Massive energy cannons rose. From hidden underground positions where they had been stored for decades, the cannons were so large that each one required its own nuclear power plant to operate. Their barrels were aimed directly at the alien fleet hanging in Earth orbit, each defense. Cannon could fire concentrated beams of pure energy that traveled at light speed. The alien ships would have no time to dodge or take defensive action. Once the cannons fired, their energy beams would strike their targets instantly. The aliens had demanded Earth surrender, but they were about to discover that Earth was ready to fight back. The planetary defense system had been designed 20 years ago when humanity first detected alien signals from deep space scientists and military leaders, had worked together to create weapons that could protect Earth from invasion. The project had been so secret that only a few dozen people knew it existed. Captain Kyung-min received reports from defense installations around the globe. Every continent now bristled with weapons that could reach targets anywhere in the solar system. The alien fleet was trapped in Earth orbit, surrounded by more firepower than they could possibly imagine. Dr. Minho continued his analysis of alien technology using samples that had been recovered from crashed Council scout ships. The aliens used a type of energy shield that had protected them from every weapon they had encountered in their conquest of the galaxy. But the shields had one critical weakness that their creators never expected anyone to discover. Council shields were designed to stop energy weapons and explosive devices by redirecting their force away from the ship. The technology was incredibly advanced and had made Council ships nearly invincible against conventional attacks. But human quantum weapons did not work like conventional weapons. Quantum torpedoes created disruption fields that passed through energy shields as if they did not exist. The torpedoes would materialize inside enemy ships where they would detonate with the force of a miniature star. Dr. Minho realized that humanity had accidentally developed the perfect weapon to destroy Council ships. General Na Young coordinated the global military response from her underground command bunker. Every major nation had contributed their best scientists and engineers to Project Hellfire. The result was a united human war effort, unlike anything in recorded history. American quantum laboratories shared their research with Russian fusion facilities, while Chinese manufacturing plants worked alongside European weapons designers. For the first time since humans had climbed down from trees, all the tribes of Earth were working together against a common enemy. The production numbers were staggering. Factories around the world had produced over 5,000 quantum torpedoes in just 30 hours. Each torpedo could destroy an alien battleship, and there were only 300 enemy ships in the invasion. Fleet humanity now possessed enough firepower to destroy the entire Council fleet several times over. Engineer Wu Jin supervised the final assembly of the last batch of weapons as the alien deadline approached. Workers who had never seen advanced technology before were now building devices that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The quantum torpedoes were loaded into launch systems hidden beneath major cities around the world. The planetary defense cannons completed their final systems checks as teams of technicians made sure every component was working perfectly. Colonel Haye-Jin watched her displays show green lights across the board. Earth was ready for war, and the alien invaders had no idea what was waiting for them. Commander Bo-Ra studied intelligence reports about the alien fleet from her analysis center. The Council ships remained in the same positions they had held since arriving at Earth. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they had not even bothered to take defensive positions. Their arrogance would be their downfall. Dr. Yunji made final adjustments to the quantum torpedo targeting systems. Each weapon had been programmed to strike a specific alien ship. The torpedoes would launch simultaneously from hidden positions around Earth, creating a coordinated attack that would overwhelm the enemy fleet before they could respond. Major Sung Ho received confirmation that all weapon systems were online and ready for combat. The quantum torpedoes were armed, and their targeting computers had locked onto every ship in the alien fleet. The planetary defense cannons were charged with enough energy to cut enemy battleships in half. President Jun Ho prepared to give the order that would change human history forever. Earth was no longer a helpless planet waiting for alien conquest. Humanity had transformed itself into a military power that could challenge the greatest civilization in the galaxy. The Council had demanded surrender, but they were about to receive total war instead. The alien deadline was now only minutes away, and Earth was ready to deliver its response. The quantum torpedoes waited in their launch tubes, while the defense cannons hummed with deadly energy. Humanity had spent 36 hours preparing for this moment, and now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when pushed too far. Admiral Velthara stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked down at the blue planet below. Her ship was larger than most human cities and carried enough weapons to destroy entire continents. She felt nothing but contempt as she watched the primitive world spinning slowly in space. In 5,000 years of galactic conquest, no species had ever dared to resist Council authority. The Admiral had personally overseen the conquest of over 200 worlds, and every single civilization had eventually surrendered when faced with Council firepower. These humans would learn the same lesson that countless species had learned before them. Surrender meant survival, while resistance meant complete extinction from the galaxy commander. Cordain studied the latest intelligence reports about human military activity from his position at the tactical station. The planet's surface showed increased movement and energy signatures, but their technology appeared laughably primitive. Human. Spacecraft moved through space at speeds that Council ships achieved centuries ago. The humans were using chemical rockets and metal projectiles, while the Council possessed energy shields and plasma weapons. Commander Cordain could not understand why these creatures would even consider fighting against such overwhelming technological superiority. It would be like insects trying to fight against giants. Captain Zurnex commanded the most powerful ship in the fleet from his position aboard, the dreadnought Worldbreaker. His vessel alone contained enough firepower to turn Earth's surface into molten glass within 30 minutes. The human attempts at military preparation only proved how desperate and foolish they had become. The Council ruling committee reviewed Earth file from their chambers aboard the command ship. This small blue planet contained valuable mineral resources and a population of several billion potential workers. The humans could provide decades of cheap labor for Council mining operations in distant star systems. However, the humans seemed determined to resist. Despite facing impossible odds, Council law was very clear about dealing with stubborn species. Total annihilation served as an example to other worlds that might consider defying Council authority. If Earth refused to surrender, every human would die as a warning to the entire galaxy. High Counselor Mechthor had overseen the conquest of the entire galactic arm and added over 3,000 species to the Council workforce. He studied the human response patterns and found them predictable and pathetic. Every species went through the same stages when faced with Council superiority. First, they tried to negotiate, then they attempted to flee, and finally they surrendered completely when they realized resistance was futile. The humans were currently in the second stage, but they would reach the final stage soon enough. When faced with the reality of their situation, all species chose survival over pointless defiance. Admiral Velthara received reports from her intelligence officers about human weapons testing. The primitive creatures were apparently building larger versions of their chemical explosive devices. They had also constructed some type of energy projection systems, but nothing that could penetrate Council defense shields. The Council had encountered energy weapons many times during their expansion across the galaxy. Their shield technology had evolved to counter every type of weapon that lesser species could develop. Human energy projectors would be no more effective than their crude explosive devices. Commander Cordain analyzed the defensive positions that humans were building around their major cities. The installations looked impressive to primitive eyes, but they posed no real threat to Council ships. Each Council vessel possessed shields that could absorb the total energy output of an entire star for several hours. The human weapons would bounce off Council shields like raindrops hitting a mountain. Even if the humans managed to concentrate all their firepower on a single Council ship, the result would be nothing more than a light show. The technological gap between the species was simply too great to overcome. Captain Zornex prepared his ship main weapons for the bombardment that would serve as Earth funeral. The Worldbreaker carried planet-killer missiles that could crack continental plates and turn oceans into steam. His targeting systems had already locked onto every major human city and military installation. The human deadline was approaching rapidly, and their pathetic attempts at resistance had only made the final outcome more certain. When the bombardment began, Earth would serve as a permanent reminder to the galaxy about the price of defying Council authority. Admiral Velthara opened a communication channel to address the human leaders one final time. She wanted to give these primitive creatures one last opportunity. To avoid complete annihilation, the Council preferred to acquire new territories with their populations intact, but they were prepared to start over with empty planets if necessary. The Admiral message was broadcast to every communication device on Earth so that all humans could hear their final warning. The Council had spoken, and their word was absolute law throughout the known galaxy. These humans would kneel like every other species, or they would cease to exist entirely. High Counselor Mechthor reviewed the timeline for Earth conquest and absorption into the Council Empire. Once the humans surrendered, their most intelligent individuals would be selected for advanced training programs. They would learn to serve Council interests as administrators and technical specialists. The remaining human population would be divided into work groups and transported to various Council territories where they would provide labor for mining and construction projects. Human children would be raised in Council education centers where they would learn proper obedience and loyalty. But first, the humans had to accept reality and surrender completely. The Council had given them more time and consideration than most species received. Their continued resistance was becoming an embarrassment that required immediate correction. Commander Cordain watched the countdown timer approach 0 as the human deadline expired. The primitive creatures had used their final hours to build weapons that could not possibly threaten Council ships. Their desperation was almost pitiable, but Council law did not allow for mercy. Admiral Velthara gave the order for all ships to charge their primary weapons systems. The bombardment would begin with precise strikes against human military installations, followed by systematic destruction of every major population. Center Earth would burn as an example to any other species that might consider defying the Council. The fleet weapon systems hummed with deadly energy as plasma cannons prepared to rain destruction upon the planet below. Captain Zornex armed his planet-killer missiles while hundreds of smaller ships readied their bombardment systems. The humans had chosen extinction over surrender, and the Council would honor their choice. Commander Cordain began the final countdown to commence bombardment operations. In 60 seconds, Earth would begin dying, and human civilization would become nothing more than a historical footnote. The Council fleet would complete another successful conquest and move on to the next target system. Admiral Velthara felt satisfaction as she prepared to teach these primitive humans the ultimate lesson about Council power. No species had ever successfully resisted Council authority, and Earth would not be the first. The galaxy would witness the price of defiance as human cities burned like funeral pyres. The countdown reached 10 seconds, and every weapon in the Council fleet prepared to fire simultaneously. Earth's surface would be transformed into a hellscape that would serve as a monument to Council power. The human response to their ultimatum had been received and rejected. The time for mercy was over. President Jun-ho stood before the cameras in the underground bunker beneath Seoul as the final minutes of the alien deadline ticked away. His hands were steady, even though he was about to make the most important decision in human history, yay. Broadcast would reach every human on Earth and every alien ship hanging above their heads. The president looked directly into the camera and spoke with a voice that carried the strength of 7 billion human souls. Earth would not surrender, would not kneel, and would not accept slavery. Humanity chose to fight for freedom regardless of the overwhelming odds against them. The alien invaders could take Earth only by paying a price that would shock the entire galaxy. Behind the president's screens showed the alien fleet waiting in orbit while human weapon systems armed themselves across the planet. The moment of truth had arrived, and humanity would discover whether their desperate gamble could succeed against impossible odds. Captain Kyung-min received the final activation codes from President Jun-ho as the human response began broadcasting to the alien fleet. Across the globe, quantum torpedo launch systems received their firing authorization while planetary defense cannons powered up with enough energy to cut battleships in half. The alien fleet remained motionless above Earth, confident in their overwhelming technological superiority. They had conquered thousands of worlds and never encountered serious resistance. Admiral Velthara and her commanders had no idea that human scientists had spent decades preparing for exactly this moment. Admiral Velthara laughed as she listened to humanity's defiant message from her flagship bridge. These primitive creatures actually believed they could resist the might of the Galactic Council. She had heard similar speeches from the leaders of countless doomed civilizations, and the outcome was always the same. The Admiral gave orders for her fleet to begin the bombardment that would serve as Earth Funeral Council plasma cannons charged with deadly energy, while targeting systems locked onto every major human city. The bombardment would transform Earth's surface into a sea of molten rock within hours. Commander Bo-Ra sat in her hidden command bunker deep beneath the mountains of Korea and watched the final countdown reach 0 on her display screens. She took a deep breath and pressed the red button that would launch humanity's first strike in this galactic war quantum. Torpedoes erupted from hidden launch sites around the world in perfect silence. Their advanced propulsion systems made them completely invisible to Council sensors while they streaked through space toward their targets. Each torpedo carried enough destructive power to vaporize an alien battleship from the inside out. The torpedoes covered the distance between Earth and the alien fleet in less than 30 seconds, traveling faster than light itself. Admiral Velthara was still laughing at humanity. Foolish defiance when the first wave of quantum weapons struck her supposedly invincible fleet. Captain Zornex was preparing to fire his planet-killer missiles when his flagship suddenly exploded around him. The quantum torpedo materialized directly inside his ship reactor core and detonated with the force of a miniature star. The massive dreadnought that could destroy worlds was reduced to glowing particles in an instant. Across the alien fleet, Council ships began disappearing in brilliant flashes of light as quantum torpedoes bypassed their energy shields and exploded inside their hulls. Admiral Velthara watched in absolute horror as her invincible armada started vanishing in spectacular explosions that lit up the darkness of Space Commander Cordain frantically tried to understand what was happening to his fleet. The primitive humans had somehow created weapons that could pass through Council shields as if they did not exist. His sensors could not detect the incoming torpedoes until they materialized inside Council ships and destroyed them from within. The quantum torpedoes struck with perfect precision as each weapon found its assigned target. Human targeting computers had calculated the exact position of every ship in the alien fleet, and the torpedoes never missed their marks. Council vessels that had conquered entire star systems were being destroyed by weapons they could not detect or defend against. Admiral Velthara sent desperate emergency signals to the Galactic Council headquarters begging for immediate reinforcements. Her once mighty fleet was being systematically annihilated by weapons that should not have existed. The primitive humans had somehow developed technology that surpassed Council science by centuries. Colonel Hyejin watched the destruction of the alien fleet from her Planetary Defense Command Center and prepared to launch the second phase of humanity attack. The quantum torpedoes had caught the aliens completely by surprise, but surviving Council ships were now attempting to retreat beyond the range of Earth weapons. The planetary defense cannons rose from their hidden positions around the globe and aimed their massive barrels at the fleeing alien ships. Each cannon contained enough energy to power entire continents, and they could strike targets anywhere in the solar system with perfect accuracy. Major Sung-ho coordinated the defense cannon targeting systems as alien ships tried desperately to escape Earth gravity. Well, the energy beams would travel at light speed, giving the aliens no time to dodge or take evasive action. Every Council ship that tried to flee would be cut down by humanity. Orbital defenses. The first defense cannon fired from its position beneath the Australian desert and sent a concentrated beam of pure energy across space toward a fleeing Council cruiser. The beam struck the alien ship and sliced it cleanly in half, causing both sections to explode in brilliant. Fireball's defense cannons around the world opened fire simultaneously, creating a web of deadly energy beams that crisscrossed Earth orbit. Alien ships that had survived the quantum torpedo attack found themselves trapped in a killing field. With no escape route available, Dr. Yoonji monitored the battle from her laboratory and made real-time adjustments to humanity weapons systems. Each quantum torpedo strike provided valuable data about Council ship construction, allowing her to optimize the next wave of attacks. The aliens' technological superiority was proving to be nothing more than an illusion engineer. Wu Jin supervised the production of additional quantum weapons as the battle raged in orbit above Earth. Human factories continued, working at maximum capacity, producing enough firepower to fight the entire Galactic Council if necessary. The alien ultimatum had awakened humanity war machine. The surviving Council ships tried to form defensive formations, but human weapons cut through their ranks like a harvester cutting wheat. Admiral Velthara flagship was struck by 3 energy beams simultaneously and broke apart in a massive explosion that could be seen from Earth's surface. Commander Cordain's ship was one of the last. Council vessels still functional when a quantum torpedo materialized in his engine room. The explosion vaporized his ship so completely that not even debris remained. The Council fleet that had come to conquer Earth was being erased from existence. Dr. Minho analyzed the battle data and confirmed that humanity weapons were performing even better than predicted. The quantum torpedoes had a 100% success rate, while the defense cannons had not missed a single target. The aliens had walked into a trap that would destroy their entire invasion force. President Jun-ho watched the destruction of the alien fleet from his bunker command center and knew that human history had changed forever. Earth was no longer a helpless planet, waiting for conquest. Humanity had announced their arrival as a major galactic power in the most dramatic way possible. The last Council ship disappeared in a flash of light as the final quantum torpedo found its target, Admiral Velthara, and her 300 ship fleet had been completely destroyed in less than 1 hour. The aliens who had demanded Earth's surrender were now nothing more than glowing debris scattered across the solar system. Colonel Hyejin stared at her command screens in amazement as the last alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The massive fleet that had demanded Earth's surrender was now nothing more than glowing debris scattered across the solar system. Humanity had achieved the impossible and destroyed an invasion force that should have been invincible. The quantum torpedoes had performed flawlessly, bypassing alien shields and detonating inside enemy ships with devastating precision. The planetary defense cannons had carved energy beams through Council hulls like hot knives cutting through butter. The invaders who had come to enslave humanity were now drifting through space as cosmic dust Major Sung-ho coordinated Earth orbital cleanup operations. As automated systems began collecting data from the destroyed alien vessels, human scientists wanted to study every piece of Council technology they could recover. The wreckage would provide valuable intelligence about galactic civilization and potential future threats. The battle had lasted less than 2 hours from the first quantum torpedo launch to the destruction of the final Council ship. Admiral Velthara and her entire fleet had been eliminated without causing any damage to Earth or its population. The aliens had been destroyed so quickly they never had the chance to fire a single shot in return. Commander Bora reviewed the combat data from her underground command center and felt a mixture of pride and terror at what humanity had accomplished. The quantum weapons had worked exactly as designed, proving that human science was far more advanced than anyone had realized. But the victory came with a terrible price. Earth had just declared war on the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. The Galactic Council ruled over thousands of star systems and commanded fleets that numbered in the millions. Admiral Velthara expedition was probably just a tiny fraction of their total military strength. Dr. Yunji continued analyzing the wreckage of Council ships and made discoveries that changed everything about humanity. Understanding of galactic politics. The alien vessels contained star charts showing the locations of Council worlds and military bases throughout the galaxy. Earth now possessed detailed intelligence about their enemies. The star charts revealed that the Galactic Council controlled over 15,000 inhabited worlds and maintained permanent military bases in every major star system. Their empire stretched across half the galaxy, with Earth located uncomfortably close to several major Council strongholds. Engineer Wu Jin expanded weapons production as intelligence reports revealed the true scope of the threat facing humanity factories around. The world began producing quantum torpedoes and defense systems at an unprecedented rate. Earth would need thousands of weapons to defend against the Council. Response President Jun Ho called an emergency session of the Global Defense Council to address the new reality facing humanity. Earth had won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. The Council would certainly send larger fleets to avenge their defeat, and humanity had to be ready. Admiral Tae Ho established Earth First Interstellar Military Command in the depths of the Korean Peninsula. The new organization would coordinate humanity defense against Council retaliation while also planning offensive operations against enemy targets. Human ships equipped with quantum weapons could strike Council worlds across the galaxy. The Admiral studied intelligence data recovered from Council computers and identified priority targets for human retaliation. Council military bases and shipyards were located throughout nearby star systems. These facilities would be producing fleets to attack Earth unless humanity struck them. First, Captain Kyung Min received command of Earth First Interstellar Warship, a vessel equipped with faster-than-light engines and enough quantum torpedoes to destroy entire fleets. The ship had been built using technology recovered from the destroyed Council fleet combined with human innovations. The warship would carry the fight directly to Council territory, striking enemy bases before they could launch attacks against Earth. Humanity was no longer content to wait for invasion. They would take the offensive and carry the war to their enemies. Homeworlds. Dr. Min Ho completed his analysis of Council communication systems and discovered that Admiral Velthara had sent desperate messages to Council headquarters before her fleet was destroyed. The enemy high command now knew that Earth possessed advanced weapons capable of destroying their ships. The Council response would be swift and overwhelming. They would send much larger fleets equipped with new countermeasures designed to defeat human weapons. Humanity had surprised them once, but the aliens would not make the same mistake again. General Na Young coordinated the global mobilization effort. As every nation on Earth prepared for total war, human civilization was transforming itself into a military machine capable of fighting across interstellar distances. Manufacturing capacity expanded rapidly while new weapons designs entered production. The unity that had emerged during the crisis continued to strengthen as humanity faced their common enemy. National borders became meaningless. As Earth resources were pooled for the common defense, Russians worked alongside Americans. While Chinese scientists collaborated with European engineers, Colonel Haya Jin supervised the construction of additional planetary defense systems as Earth prepared for the inevitable Council counterattack. New installations rose from hidden locations. While existing systems received upgrades based on battle experience, every major city would be protected by weapons capable of destroying capital ships. The defense grid expanded beyond Earth orbit as humanity built fortified positions throughout. The solar system Mars received its first quantum torpedo batteries, while the asteroid belt bristled with automated defense platforms. Any Council fleet entering human space would face a deadly gauntlet of weapons. Major Sung Ho analyzed intercepted Council communications and discovered that news of their fleet destruction had sent shockwaves throughout the Galactic Empire. Several conquered species had begun uprising against Council authority, believing that the aliens could be defeated. Psychological impact of Earth victory was spreading across the galaxy as oppressed populations learned that Council ships could be destroyed. Humanity had given hope to billions of enslaved beings who had never dreamed of freedom from their alien. Masters Commander Bora received reports from deep space monitoring stations that detected massive fleet movements in nearby star systems. The Council was mobilizing their response to Earth defiance, and the retaliation would be devastating. Thousands of ships were converging on assembly points for the invasion of human space. The enemy fleets contained new ship designs equipped with experimental shields and weapons systems. Council scientists had been working around the clock to develop countermeasures. Against human quantum technology, their next attack would be far more dangerous than Admiral Velthera expedition. Dr. Yunji developed new weapons systems based on her analysis of Council technology. Human quantum torpedoes received upgrades that would allow them to penetrate even improved enemy shields. While the aliens worked to defend against human weapons, humanity was already developing more advanced attacks. Engineer Wu Jin supervised the construction of humanity's first fleet of interstellar warships. Each vessel was equipped with the most advanced weapons Earth could produce, along with faster-than-light engines that would allow them to strike targets across the galaxy. President Jun-ho addressed the people of Earth as the planet prepared. For the coming storm, humanity had proven they could defend themselves against alien aggression. But the real test was yet to come. The Council would return with overwhelming force, and Earth had to be ready. General Nei Young stood in the command center deep beneath Seoul and watched the final pieces of alien debris burn up in Earth atmosphere. The wreckage of Admiral Velthera fleet created brilliant streaks of light across the night sky like a celebration of humanity's first victory in galactic warfare. 300 Council ships had been reduced to cosmic dust in less than 2 hours. The destruction of the alien invasion force had shocked the entire galaxy. But humanity was just beginning to understand. The true significance of their achievement. Earth had proven that the Galactic Council was not invincible, and that their advanced technology could be defeated by human ingenuity and determination. Captain Kyung Min prepared to broadcast humanity message to every civilization in the galaxy using captured Council communication systems. The transmission would reach thousands of worlds across dozens of star systems, carrying news that would change the balance of power forever. Earth would not tolerate threats and would defend itself against any aggressor. The captain message was simple and direct. Humanity had destroyed the Council fleet that came to enslave them, and they were prepared to do the same to any other force that threatened. Human Freedom Earth now possessed weapons capable of destroying entire fleets, and they would use them against anyone who challenged human independence. Dr. Min Ho completed his analysis of captured alien databases and discovered the locations of Council military installations throughout nearby star systems. The intelligence treasure trove included detailed information about enemy fleet strengths, weapons capabilities, and the locations of their home worlds. Humanity now possessed more information about the Galactic Council than any free species in the galaxy. The data revealed that the aliens had been systematically conquering and enslaving civilizations for over 10,000 years. Their empire was built on the suffering of countless enslaved. Populations Admiral Te-Ho established Earth-first interstellar strike force using ships equipped with human quantum weapons and faster-than-light engines. The fleet would carry the fight directly to Council territory, launching preemptive attacks against enemy bases before they could threaten Earth. The strike force would target Council shipyards and weapon manufacturing facilities, crippling their ability to build fleets for revenge attacks against humanity. Human ships could now travel faster than Council vessels, allowing them to strike without warning and disappear before enemy reinforcements arrived. Colonel He-Jin coordinated the deployment of quantum torpedo platforms throughout the solar system. Earth defenses now extended far beyond the home.